A very good evening to one and all, and a warm welcome to the In-Service Skills Enhancement Program presented by VidyaDaan Foundation. I am Dr. Mayuri Dutt, and I'm here to take you through the session. To begin with, I would like to introduce VidyaDaan to the ones who aren't aware of its organization. VidyaDaan Foundation is a transformative non-profit organization. It is dedicated to empowering underprivileged children, youth, and women through the power of education. With an unwavering commitment to fostering a brighter future, VidyaDaan Foundation is at the forefront of providing high-quality education in India, thereby enabling disadvantaged children to unlock their potential. To enhance the quality of education, it also conducts teachers training program. And in the past, under the In-Service Skills Enhancement Program, ISEP, we take pride when we say that we have successfully trained more than 15,000 teachers. We all know that the National Education Policy emphasizes on the continuous professional development, that is CPD, of educators. Each teacher is expected to participate in at least 50 hours of CPD opportunities every year. Now we have resumed the In-Service Skill Enhancement Program, popularly called as ISEP, and it's going to be an ongoing one. We shall have sessions every Saturday from today between 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And our speakers will be eminent educators who will share their expertise with us on various relevant and pressing topics. In fact, we all know that we also have a wonderful speaker today as Neelima ma'am, and she also is going to start with a very interesting topic. Points to be noted while the educator is going to deliver the talks, and we would want that the members who are there with us, they just come up with any questions which they would like to ask Neelima ma'am. After the completion of this entire program, each participant is going to get e-certificates, which will actually be known as a complete 1-hour CPD certificate. I will briefly inform you that after the presentation of the speaker, we will be sharing the Google form link, which has to be filled up before leaving the meeting. I repeat, the Google form link will be shared while the meeting is on. And my request to each audience, each member of the audience, is to please fill it up before leaving the meeting to enable you to get the certificate. Now, coming in the session, I would like to introduce our speaker to you all today, who is there all the way, who has joined us all the way from UK. We all know there is a 5 hours difference. And ma'am, what is the time now over there? We can just share it with our audience.
Summertime here, so it is now 12:36 in the afternoon. It's 4.5 hours.
Yes.
From October, it becomes 5.5 hours.
Yeah, and we are here in India. We started the session at 5 p.m. Our expert today, Neelima ma'am, is the director of London-based Story Art UK. Story Art's aim is to connect cultures. Story Art produces timeless stories from India through 1-hour-long audiobooks and short puppet shows. We all know in NEP, puppet shows are so important in school now. So this actually session is really going to give you a brief idea as to how we need to prepare the children to conduct puppet show in their own respective schools. Uniquely, Neelima ma'am works with teenagers and the elderly as authors and narrators. The audiobook on Ramayana and Indian independence received glowing reviews in leading newspapers like The Hindu and the UK Times, and from leading authors such as Dr. Shashi Tharoor. My God, I'm envying you, ma'am. And Amit Tripathi. Their audiobooks have also been selected on the in-flight entertainment on British Airways and Qatar Airways. Their flagship Ramayana puppet show conveys the Diwali story in just 20 minutes. Ma'am, I'm looking forward to hear to you as well. And has featured on the BBC London Story Hours audiobook conveying Telugu Samathalu in simple Telugu using everyday context have been hugely popular with Telugu speaking audience from across the world. Dear viewers, in case you have some very important questions related to the topic, you can put it on the chat and we shall try to address them if time permits. I know now I will have to request Madam to kindly begin with her session, which we are all eagerly waiting for it. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dutt, for such a wonderful introduction. And more than my introduction, I felt it was so good to listen to VidyaDaan's contribution and the way it's empowering the society, especially the children who are our future. I truly believe that if we have a strong foundation, which are our children, we will make a strong country, which we already are. So today, as much as, yes, I have done considerable work in puppet shows as well, mostly focused around the Ramayana. Today, we'll be talking more about language as a toolkit. You know, if we were to consider we have a toolkit, all of us carry a toolkit with us, and language is what are the tools we need in that toolkit to lead a more empowered life, to lead a more satisfying life, and to succeed in our life too. So we will do a discussion on the puppet show on another day, and I'm already in talks with VidyaDaan to see when we can fit in the Ramayana puppet show, and then we will discuss the whole creative way of communicating stories through puppets. But at this point in time, I'm a creative educationist, so I would love to share my understanding and experience while working with children on our audiobooks and the puppet shows. So I'm going to start with the presentation, and thank you for your time in advance. Okay, here it is. So I think I'll have to, let's see if I down this and then trying to minimize all the, yeah, okay. So I hope you're all able to see. So yeah, I'm saying learning language toolkit, or it can even be called learning toolkit, because so here it is. So what is the objective? So in this workshop, we will explore key components of language skills: listening, building vocabulary, reading, writing skills, and speaking. So as much as when I convey this presentation to you, I will be using language as if we are improving the students' language through our classes, but it can be extended to other subjects too. So all these tools, I call listening as a tool, I call vocabulary as a tool, being able to comprehend text as a tool. Writing is, of course, a tool. So is speaking, which is a wonderful, wonderful tool through which we convey our feelings and our knowledge. So these skills can be applied to any other subject to build a strong foundation. So as I said, these are all the tools that I'm going to be talking about, and these tools can be used in any other subject, not just language. So we start with listening. Now, why do I think listening is the most important tool, or the first tool that we need to sharpen? That's because when we are born, we pick up language, we pick up understanding of the world around us by listening to, as infants, we all could only listen to people around us say, point to things and say, that's a tree, this is mommy, this is Papa or Appa or Nana, whatever is the language we tend to talk in. So listening is the most important skill through which we acquire knowledge as infants and as little children. So we have to actively think about how can we engage our children, how can we engage our students in the act of listening to what we are saying. So the foundation of language or any subject learning, I believe, is listening to start with. And active listening, what is active listening? Active listening is being able to focus on what is being said without distractions. And in this day and age, when our attention spans are really short rather, we have to consider the fact that we can't say very long sentences, or we can't give too many instructions or too much information in one go. So as a speaker, as a teacher, when we are imparting knowledge, we have to be able to understand that we need to break our topic into smaller sections, make it easier for the person who's listening to us. Active listening is being able to listen to the content that is being shared with you without any distractions. And it does. Once you listen to something without any distractions, it helps you comprehend, understand it better. Once you understand it better, of course, you retain the knowledge better as well. And what are the tips for effective listening? Focus on the speaker, but then I feel the onus or the responsibility lies on the speaker too. So if the speaker doesn't speak with clarity or doesn't speak with intention, that the speaker has to have the intention to to make the listener understand what they want to achieve. But here we are talking about listening as a tool. So when we want to listen, so as a teacher, when we are listening to the students, we have to focus on exactly what they're trying to convey to us. We have shared some knowledge with them. We have shared a topic with them. But let us say they haven't understood some, which I'm sure you all are very experienced teachers, and a very happy Teachers' Day to you all. It's only 2 days old now, but yeah, you are bringing about so many changes, and my best wishes to you. But as a teacher, when we interact with the children, we at times the children are very, very conscious that they are actually standing up and putting across a question to you. But when they are putting up a question to you, it is important for us as adults, as teachers, or somebody with more knowledge to understand that they may not be able to form a sentence to express their question properly. So we may have to pick up the cues. So they may use a word or two which will give us a clue that this is what they're trying to get at. So I think we could focus on the speaker here, who's our student, who is the person who's raising a point with us, and practice listening to different words, accents, and speed. So this, in terms of picking up a language, of course, when we are asking our children, our students to sort of uh, to become better at a language or better at a subject, we have to give them, let them know that they need to focus as they're listening. When we start a class, we have to tell them that while they're listening to us, it is important that they either make a note of the words we are using, some words that need looking up, or there are, in India, we speak so many different languages. Each part of India has a different way of speaking the same language. For example, English or Hindi, which are the most common languages that are spoken across the whole of India. So they need to be aware that if a teacher is coming from another part of India, they may be speaking in a different accent. Similarly, some languages are faster than the others. Some languages are very slow in the way they are spoken, but some are very fast. So this is as far as the speaker is concerned. We need to let our audience know that they need to focus on these three aspects while they're listening to us. But when we are listening to them, we need to also focus on the same things, which is what is it that they're trying to convey. Maybe there are a couple of words that we can understand from what they're saying that they haven't understood or they're trying to convey. Maybe most people are able to convey in a proper sentence, but maybe some can't. Maybe the children also come from different backgrounds, so they may have their own particular accent based on the families they come from and the speed. Some children may feel conscious when they're standing up and saying things, so they may talk very fast, or some may be very hesitant, so they may speak very slowly. So we need to understand the pace at which our audience, in this case, the children, are responding to what they have heard when we shared the knowledge. So listening is a two-way thing. So we listen to them and they listen to us. But it is an absolutely crucial tool in sharpening your language skills or in understanding a subject more deeply. Because in language, yes, you have your keywords, but in a subject, for example, in history or in chemistry or in physics, there are certain terms that get used repeatedly in a topic. So if the children haven't understood that word, then the chances are they will not be able to understand the rest of the topic. So it is important while you are conveying as a teacher, tell them what they need to focus on. So tell them what they need to listen to. So you're guiding them that basically when I'm sharing this topic with you, focus on the keywords, focus on how the whole topic is coming together. But yes, listening to me is a very crucial tool in enhancing your knowledge or in sharpening your language skills as well. And the next thing we will, so that was the first tool. And the second tool I would say is building vocabulary. Now, again, with why is vocabulary important? Because it expands your ability to express yourself and understand the subject better. So if it is a language topic, then of course it becomes very boring if we repeatedly use the same word, or you are beautiful, or this is nice. So these are simple ways to express a thought, but we can embellish it. We can say it in a different way. Oh, you are um, what you wear, what you're wearing makes you look very lovely or something like that. So a different way of expressing you are beautiful. Similarly, other things as well. So if you have a good command over vocabulary, if you have a good vocabulary, the chances are you yourself will be feeling the need or the thrill in using different words when you construct a sentence. And the same holds true for a subject that's not just language. If, for example, again, biology. So let's say you're teaching organs, it's important that you go through the list of keywords that are used. Let us say you're teaching them the function of kidney. So what is the unit of kidney? It is a nephron. So what does a kidney do, or what a glomerular filtration? There are certain keywords that are associated with kidney. So I would have loved it if, when I was a student, if the teacher first wrote all the book, all the words, all the terms that get used in that particular topic. So what happens is the student is getting used to the new words. They know that these words will appear in the conversation or in the topic that the teacher is going to share. But if you use these words all of a sudden, then these are very difficult. These are terms that have a meaning. So, for example, what is a nephron? It's the unit of a kidney, right? It is the unit of filtration. So if we explain the meanings, we are building that vocabulary for that topic with the student. So once they have the vocabulary for that topic, I think the chances are they will understand the topic better as you go along in the discussion. So if it's a language, of course, we should encourage the children to sort of think about how many different ways they can express that same meaning through you by using different words. But if it is a subject, I think it's useful for them to have a good command over all the terms that get used in that topic, whether it is software, which all these topics are so big, but they should be broken down into smaller units where it's about understanding the keywords. And why is vocabulary important? Vocabulary in any language or subject, because it enhances your reading and listening comprehension. Everything is a virtuous circle. So you pick up your more and more vocabulary by listening to others or by reading, then the chances are you understand it better. So therefore you write better and you speak better. So this is a nice circle that forms a very virtuous cycle. So what are the strategies for building vocabulary? So of course, they should read widely and regularly on the topic for that subject. For example, again, if it's a language thing, they should read as many fiction and non-fiction to understand what kind of words are used in a fictional context, what kind of words are used in a non-fiction context, what kind of words are used to create excitement, or to create any other mood that the student wants to. For that, they need to have a good list of words. Similarly, on any, like for example, I find physics a difficult subject. So how would I have, if I went back to my school, given what I know now, I think I would have probably understood the terms involved in that topic a lot more. I would have spent more time understanding the meaning of the terms, and then I would have read more. Then I would have put that word in its context, and then I would have understood the whole topic better. So I feel it's important for them to first build their vocabulary and read regularly and start picking up the words and the terms that they come across, and start understanding the meaning and write them, so that that particular topic, and because they have command over the keywords, they are able to appreciate the topic better. And of course, they can use a thesaurus to explore synonyms, but in the case of a subject, they have to have their own dictionary. I'm sure there are subject dictionaries too, but I think it's always useful to encourage students to have their personal dictionary, because that will be their words. You know, they'll take pride in the fact that they know these words as much as they would have taken it from a dictionary, and practice these words in sentences. So whatever words that they have come across, it's important that they regularly practice these words. Now we tend to encourage using new words in writing paragraphs, etc. in language subject or language topics. But we should do the same for other subjects too. For example, if they have picked up new words in, let us say, geography, or new terms, how can they put those new words in a sentence on their own? It may not relate to any other topic from geography. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be from a textbook topic, but in their own words, how can they write it? Once they use that particular topic, let's say erosion, soil erosion, I think that's a geography topic, I'm sure. Sorry if it's not. But so how do they use that word in their own sentence to explain something, or as part of a story, you know? So these kind of creative ways will give them the scope to understand the meaning of this word beyond that topic, and they will start owning it. They'll start feeling comfortable with those words, and the more comfortable they become with the words, the better they will get at understanding the topic. So building vocabulary is not just limited to language. When I'm saying building vocabulary, it is subject vocabulary. So it is wonderful if all the students have a biology vocabulary, physics vocabulary, chemistry vocabulary, so that they're comfortable with all those words. So this is our second tool, which is vocabulary, having a good vocabulary. Now, the third thing is being able to read and comprehend. So reading comprehension. So why is it important? So yes, when you're in the class, of course, as teachers, you share your knowledge, you share your understanding of the topic that you're sharing with them very meticulously, with examples, with some diagrams, etc., etc. But there will come a point when they have to read whatever notes they have written or the textbook and make sense of it based on what they've understood in the class. So it's important to encourage them to read beyond what is there in the textbook. Of course, you should always encourage them to start with. You should encourage them to read their own textbooks, because that is in their syllabus. So it's understandable that you would want them to first understand what is in the syllabus before they start exploring outside the syllabus on that topic. But it is important that you tell them that, okay, go home. Okay, today I'm sure which is what most teachers do, which is what my teachers did as well when I was at school. But it's important to sort of get them to, if, for example, they're comfortable with the topic, and it's important to see if in this day and age with Google, etc., etc., can they explore this topic a little further and possibly pull out a paper that explains this topic in greater detail. So what does that do? It improves their critical thinking and analysis. So these are, so you're building on your knowledge that you gained in your class, you're building on it, you're exploring it on your own, and then you are analyzing it. Maybe they can come back to you with what they have come across. Maybe that can be an exercise after each topic where you tell them that, okay, this is within your syllabus, and those of you who are keen to explore it further, well, we would love to sort of understand what you've explored on this topic and what your analysis has been on this topic. So what are the techniques for better comprehension? Skim and scan for key ideas. So when they are reading the text, especially in an exam situation, they have very limited time. So again, what we had discussed before, the tools we had discussed before, which is what they had heard in the class and the vocabulary that they built by themselves, will help them when they're skimming and scanning those papers that are given in the exam. Because as we all know, examination is quite a stressful period because you don't have all the time in the world to understand it better and answer it better. And get them into the habit of summarizing paragraphs in their own words. So again, this is to do with the vocabulary, this is to do with what they've heard. In fact, the challenge could be something as simple at this stage, could be you share something with them in the classroom on a topic, and then they make notes while they're listening to you, and you ask them if they can write what you had shared with them in just 2 lines. You would have spent maybe 30 minutes. I don't know what the duration of each class is. Let's say the class is for 45 minutes. After 30 minutes, after sharing your topic for 30 minutes, you could ask them that within 5 minutes, if they could write 2 lines on what they have heard. So what we are testing now is how has their listening skills been, and have they understood the keywords, which is vocabulary. So therefore, then they write, and that becomes part of their reading comprehension. And of course, if then they read it aloud, and you ask questions. So these things, when this is done in a systematic way initially, while they're getting into the habit of developing their comprehension, can be quite useful. And the next topic is writing skills. Of course, once you have heard, once you know you have a great vocabulary, once you have understood how to handle reading, once you've read enough content on that topic, the next thing naturally is to write on that topic, because you have heard your teacher, you have heard the keywords, you've been given paragraphs where you have to answer questions on that paragraph. Now you're answering. Most likely, I don't know if students still write with a paper and pen, but if you're having to type, then please write the synopsis of what you have heard, which is what I said in the previous tool, which is reading comprehension. So the next thing is asking them to write in just a couple of lines, so that we can gauge, we can sense if they've understood or not. So the power of writing, it is essential for clear communication. In fact, what has happened is, because of Chat GPT and the other AI tools, you put in a question, you put in a couple of words, it can easily come up with a paragraph for you. But that's all fine if it is submitting the homework. Maybe they will use Chat GPT or some of the AI tools. But when it comes to being able to communicate on their own orally, there's no Chat GPT. It's not yet there in our brain, and there's no chip in the brain that's going to send us those sentences. It's the sentences that come out of us are based on our own learnings. So when you start writing what you have understood, it helps you in the next stage, in the next tool, which is the final tool, which is speaking. So so when you write, you are enhancing your communication skills too, and you are obviously organizing your thoughts. But then the task is to give them limited time. If we gave them the whole day, they can write forever and more. But we need to get them ready for the exam situations on an ongoing basis. And we need to build on it. So first get them to write 2 lines, and then maybe a paragraph, and then maybe a page full. So what are the tips for strong writing? So the plan before you write, but then To be able to plan, they need to understand the topic better. So all of the previous tools come into play. And to be concise and clear, so how can they be, so how do we expect, how can we motivate them, or how can we guide them to be concise and clear? If when we share the topic for 30 minutes and then ask them, can you please write 2 lines on this, on what you have understood? Each student may answer it in a different way. Some may understand the beginning of what you have, how you started the topic, or some may understand the end part of your conversation, or how you shared the topic with them. That all depends on their listening skills. Some may be able to summarize it perfectly, where they've heard the beginning, they know what happened while you were developing, or while you were communicating the topic, and how you ended that topic. So some are probably fantastic listeners and they can go through the entire thing in 3 lines, but most people are likely to either say the first part or the last part or something in the middle, and obviously revise and edit your work. So once they write their 3 lines on what you have communicated, you can then get them to revise. You can then point out, oh, okay, so I can see that you have understood what I said in the middle part of my lecture, but I can see you didn't begin it well. By maybe when I was introducing the topic, you were not listening, or you hadn't followed it, or you hadn't understood it. So something like that. So you revise and then you edit what they have written and they rewrite it. So while they're rewriting it, as we all know, it's becoming more and more clear to them, and it's getting embedded in their brain. So that is the another very, very important tool, which is writing. And finally comes speaking. So to what does speaking show? It just demonstrates that you understood that topic very well. It's so difficult to sort of just talk, right? I mean, it is not easy, especially in an exam situation. Or, I mean, here I'm assuming that we're all getting these students to prepare for some public speaking, to prepare for some future roles that they may want to take up, or prepare them for ultimately to start something. Or they could be entrepreneurs, they may want to start something, but to be able to start something, they should be able to share their passion with others. Sometimes in writing, sometimes they'll have to get a few people around them and share orally. So all the tools that we have discussed before will help them finally in being able to communicate properly. They've heard good speakers, they've picked up the keywords that made sense to them for that particular topic. Then they started reading up and started writing based on their vocabulary, what they've heard and what they've read. They've created their own material, because ultimately when you speak, if you speak like every other person, it feels like you're copying their content. So the sum of it has to be original. So you can only follow others to a certain point. After that, it has to be original. To be original, you need to be able to write your own piece. And for that, you need your own vocabulary, which you have picked up again by listening and reading. So speaking does demonstrate how original you are. Of course, your proficiency in the language or the subject, but on top of that, what are you an original thinker? It does show. And it is obviously the greatest tool for interpersonal communication. So how can you improve your speaking? So on whatever topic they decide, I think it's important to encourage children to, thanks to all the smartphones, we can always record our own voice, which is uncomfortable to start with, but it's okay. You get used to it and you accept your own voice, and it starts sounding fine soon for sure. So you get them to write, now that they've written something, a topic that they've been building on based on what they've heard, the vocabulary they picked up, what they have read, they wrote something. Now let them share this to whoever their audience is by recording it, so that there's a 2-minute recording of what they understood, because it helps them. It just gives them the confidence when they don't have when they have to present their work in front of a bigger audience. When they're speaking to themselves, they're listening to their own voice, and their inhibitions will go down as they listen to themselves more and more. And they should engage in conversations with, when I'm saying native speakers, that is to do with the language. But when it comes to a subject, it is with the subject teachers or subject experts. So they should have the courage to come up to you, the physics teacher, and say, I would like to talk about, God knows what a physics topic is, but on one of the physics topics, relativity, something like that, right? Because these are the inhibitions that most people have. And it is because you're always thinking, am I right? I mean, really, can I talk to the teacher? I think I don't know much. But the more you talk, the more you open your you become more open to the idea that yes, you are still a student, you are building your database, your understanding, so it's okay. But to have the confidence to go up to a native speaker or to a subject expert, in this case a teacher, does take a lot of courage, and it will only do them good. And obviously, if it is language, you're helping, you're telling them that they need to listen to good speakers, or in any other subject, and see how they carry their voice. Is there a rhythm to their voice? How do they convey different emotions? If it is a story, if it is a lecture on a groundbreaking research paper, how do they convey that? Where do they show excitement? Where do they show uncertainty? So there are lots of emotions that can be conveyed while we are speaking. So speaking is obviously a wonderful tool, and we all at some point we have to communicate to each other by speaking. We can't just rely on emails or chats. At some point we have to go face to face or on Zoom calls like this, and do have to communicate. So we have to integrate all the tools that we have discussed so far. So listening and speaking go hand in hand. We listen, like in our everyday conversation, we listen to someone and then we respond to that, or somebody is listening to us and they're responding to us. So right, so this can be done by practicing conversations on various topics. And I think we should encourage students to talk on various topics. Let them not at a very young age decide that this is my favorite topic, because that'll narrow their own options. And it becomes, in this case, vicious is too big a word, but it becomes it's not encouraging to get them to only talk about one topic. Let's say football. It's okay to start understanding what basketball is also about. And then at later point, it's okay if ultimately they decide it's only football that they're interested in. Similarly, reading and writing go hand in hand. So you read, you understand, the students understand, oh, how have they started, how have they explored the topic, and how did they end the topic, and therefore how did they communicate that topic. Or the topic could be a letter, the topic could be a piece of research, etc., etc. So once you read, you initially start mimicking exactly the same format in the way you write, because you're seeking guidance from something. But at some point your originality kicks in, and then again you should encourage them to read about different topics. And thanks to all the tools that are available, so there are ways in which you can understand a very complicated topic in a very simple manner as well. So in fact, they're doing a service, so they can take complicated topics and actually write it in a simple manner that somebody else can benefit from. So again, vocabulary, use the keywords or new words while they're talking or writing. So these are all, we just need to integrate everything, that all the tools that have been used, that they have acquired in the past. So in conclusion, listening, building vocabulary, reading a variety of text, writing and speaking, they all become a virtuous cycle. Everything feeds into the other. And practice, of course, we have to, like anything else, like music. When you're learning music, you or learning a sport, we do spend that amount of time on the field learning that football, or with the instrument, if it's a musical instrument, or just sitting there and exploring our voice and understanding the range we have with our voice. So they have to give themselves a chance to explore what their potential is, how far can they go with their imagination and with their understanding. They have to use all the tools that we have discussed. So that is what I feel is the toolkit that we need to give our children, whether it learning toolkit, or it could be a language toolkit or a subject toolkit. That depends on your expertise. But these are all the learning tools that I would say should be there in the toolkit of every child, so that as they're growing older, they know that they have these immense, these powerful tools within them that they can tap into. And anyway, it all becomes a virtuous cycle. So I'm happy to take questions for you from you all. So I'm going to stop sharing unless yeah. And thank you for your time. Uh,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much. There hasn't been any questions, so I don't think so. Anyone is interested to know because you have explained it so very nicely.
Thank you.
That I also enjoyed your session. But if any of the audience are interested to ask any question, the floor is even open for them to ask it directly, or they can message it in the message box.
Yes.
It was indeed an insightful session because, ma'am, you know that every areas which you covered are the need of the hour for the teachers to know
Yes.
at present. And this is going to be definitely a valuable takeaway for our teachers to prepare more documentations and other assessment tools. Participants are requested if they can see the link, kindly fill up that link because we would like to give you the certificates and all these documents can be given provided you fill up the link provided in this talk. In case you don't receive your e-certificate within 7 working days, please mail to us. It is VidyaDaan training at gmail.com. And please mention your name, school name, topic of the session, because we are going to have various sessions which starts today on a very important day. It's Ganesh Chaturthi in India, and everyone is in a festive mood, ma'am. In addition to that, India celebrated Teachers' Day, so most of the schools are
Exactly.
celebrating that today as well. In fact,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
am also
wow.
there in one of the program today. And meanwhile, I just came up with this program as well. So it is there, and we would request that each one should write the date of the session, and we are definitely going to timely respond to you. See you all next Saturday, ma'am. It was nice. We will keep connected. And
Thank you
I
very much,
hope
Dr. Daan.
once again we will find most of the audience joining us back on every Saturday. Till then, take care
Thank you
and
very
have
much,
a
and my
happy
best wishes
Ganesh
to you all.
Chaturthi.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Take care.